Hello, this is another video similar to my Pokemon Soul Silver save file exploration that I did like a month ago, I think. So this is a challenge that I wanted to do because I needed something to do this month because the Switch 2 comes out next month and I just wanted to have a challenge for myself, something to focus on. So I figured I would do something a little smaller in scale than Soul Silver because, you know, Pokemon Yellow, Gen 1 games, they don't take too much time to complete, or at least that was what I thought, and it didn't really take that much time, but mostly because I had games to trade with, which we'll get to in a little bit. But yeah, I just wanted to complete the Pokedex, I wanted to get every Mon, I wanted to fight just every trainer that I could, just do everything in these games. I didn't really do a lot with Stadium, that wasn't my intention. I just wanted to do Stadium for the video to have it look nicer than just showing Gen 1 gameplay. So that's what we're doing. I'm using Project 64, and it is as buggy as ever. This is the first time I've set it up in like a decade, and really not much else has changed from back then. So I'm using the default controls, so if you hear like keyboard clicks, that's why, because I couldn't get it to recognize either of the controllers that I tried, but I digress. The first thing that we're going to look at here is the Pokedex, because of course that is the main thing that I wanted to get into here. So let me go ahead and press the wrong button, Jesus Christ. Anyway, let me press the right button this time. Get into this. Okay, so here we are, the Pokedex screen for Pokemon Stadium. As you can see, Scene 151, Own 151, Caught 112, I guess that's like the Pokemon that are currently in my boxes, because Bulbasaur and Ivysaur are grayed out, but Venusaur is, you know, a Pokeball colored in, and I only have Venusaur in my boxes because I evolved the Bulbasaur into Ivysaur and then into Venusaur, so I assume that's why it's like that. I'm not too familiar with Stadium 1, so forgive me if, you know, I don't know what I'm doing here. But here we have all of these Mons. Here you can see I do have Raichu and not Pikachu. I traded Pikachu out to get Raichu because I'm more of a Raichu fan, but I did that at the end of the game. I guess we'll show Raichu on screen here. I did that right before the Elite Four so that I could get a little extra power, and I wanted to use Pikachu. I always do when I play Yellow. I use Pikachu because that's the fun in it. You know, it's a whole new feature, being able to have Pikachu follow you and help out on the journey, so I just did that. So I do have Raichu, but here, let's see, we go down more. All of these Mons are caught. I use Nidoking on my team. We'll get to my team later as well. I know that's like the most exciting part of these videos. I used Clefable. Ninetales, there's a story to Ninetales. There's a story for Magmar, and we'll get to that as well. But I'm just showing off my decks here. Here we got all of them, right down to Mew, right here. So, I did get Mew in game, which we will also get to. I know I'm just setting up a lot here, but I love Mew in Generation 1. This is probably one of my favorite Pokemon Stadium models, or just 3D Pokemon models in general. I really like the old Mew design with the colored tip of its tail and the colored feet that it has, the little like pink toes that Mew has in Generation 1. I really wish they stuck to that design because I think it's a lot nicer than just it being fully fetus colored in the later games. But anyway, 9 pounds. I didn't even know that. That's crazy, Mew. Anyway, okay, let's go over to this computer. Can I press the right button this time? Yes, I can. Perfect. We're learning. Okay. So first let's check the Pokemon. In my party, I have Big Cheese, which let's go ahead and press this button. Yes, I do. Okay, Big Cheese. No, don't move. Wait, that's the wrong button. Check Pokemon. There we go. Okay, so here is Big Cheese the Raichu, which was my starter Pikachu. Not much to say. Raichu is always just a Thunderbolt machine, but also Thunder Wave helps out a lot, and I did have Double Team. I kept Double Team on it to help out too. Quick Attack was also useful in a lot of situations. I don't know why the fuck he's tweaking out in the top left corner there, but I'm gonna leave him be. Then we have Gulliver. This was another challenge that I wanted to do, was to raise up a Dragonite in Generation 1. So here he is in all of his 3D glory. No, the OT is Neo, so I actually traded this guy from Crystal, which makes a lot more sense. I traded in a lot of Mons from Crystal, because I have a complete Pokemon Crystal save file. I have like 2. I've played Gen 2 a shit ton of times, that's probably obvious by now. But yeah, I have like 2 Crystal save files from over the years, and I just traded in a bunch of mons to help me fill up the decks a little faster. It's a very casual playthrough. I wasn't going for anything hardcore, you know, I wasn't trying to do like a full Professor Oak's challenge or whatever. No, I just wanted to complete the Pokedex by any means possible. So I did trade this guy in, which actually helped a lot because the trade EXP is still a thing. So this guy did get some boosted EXP to help become a Dragonite as well. So Farfetch'd did not use, it's only here for Fly and Cut, which helped out a lot in the playthrough, you know, just a utility mon. Then Ninetales is here because it's the last mon that I evolved for my Pokedex. The last mon that I got was Ninetales, because you cannot get Vulpix in Pokemon Yellow. I did not have a save file of Pokemon Red or Blue, whichever one Vulpix is exclusive to, and you cannot get Vulpix in Crystal. So what I did was I spent an entire day playing through half of Pokemon Silver just to get a Vulpix and just to get a Magmar. Those were the last mons that I needed for my decks. So I just spent a whole day playing Silver, traded over the Vulpix, traded over the Magmar, used the damn Firestone, and called it a goddamn day. And that's how we completed our Pokedex. But now if we go into the boxes... Alright, here we go, we are in our boxes. So the first mon in this box is a Venonat. Then we got a level 17 Pidgeotto. I do like you can kind of catch Pokemon before they evolve in this game. It does help out sometimes. Bellsprout, Geodude, nothing too special here. Spearow, Pidgey, another Nidoran, Rattata, Mankey. I was just kind of catching whatever I could at the beginning of the game to help out. Wigglytuff level 3, I just think that's funny having a fully evolved mon at such a low level. Here we have Mew, level 7, I did do the Mew glitch. I know the Mew glitch by heart. Listen, Pokemon Yellow was my first old school game. I'll put a picture on screen of my fucking cartridge in my original Game Boy Advance that's missing the back plate, which is really funny. But I got those when I was like, I think like 9 or 10. It was right after I really got into Pokemon. You know, I was playing Heart Gold and Soul Silver. I was playing, I think Black had just come out. And I really wanted to get into the older games. So my grandfather found a box full of a bunch of old retro consoles and stuff. I think it had like the first Xbox. It had, which I know to some people this isn't retro, it'll make you feel old. But, you know, we're in 2025. So it had like the original Xbox. It had a SNES. Might have had an NES, and it had a Game Boy Advance with the backplate missing, but it was still functional. It was the original design, didn't have a black light, so I did experience the trauma of having to play under, you know, like a lamp and then having screen glare and then just all that bullshit. So I did experience that until I got my SP, which was a lot later. I ordered one off of eBay like, I think 5 or 6 years ago. So it was actually a long time. I basically just used that GBA for my childhood. But yeah, I know the Mew glitch by heart. I did it. I caught the Mew. That's how we got Mew. Simple as. Then you come down here, we have Mighty the Sandshrew. It's nicknamed because I wanted to use a Sandslash in this playthrough, but there were just other mons that I wanted to use as time went on, and I ended up just benching Sandshrew, which, I'm sorry, but, you know, there's just a lot of cool Gen 1 mods that I use like every time. So, I did not use Charizard or Venusaur in this playthrough. I guess I thought about using Charizard since it's nicknamed, but I decided ultimately against it. So I did train him up afterwards, a lot of switch training to train these guys up, but we got there. Butterfree, again, nothing too special. We go down to this one. Okay, box 2, we got Oddish, we got Horsey, we got Snorlax, we got Gengar. Let me see Gengar's 3D model. He looks like a funny guy, like this guy. So we got that. We got Ghastly, Magnemite, Machamp, Pidgeotto, level 19 Alakazam. I actually, you know what, we'll get to it. Jolteon, Nidoqueen, Eradicate, Diglett, Stooges. This was my first encounter in Diglett's cave, and I caught him just for some extra help if I needed it against Surge. But Surge only has one Mon, being a Raichu, in this game. So I didn't really end up using them all that much, but I just thought it was fun to catch the Doug Trio, because it was my first encounter, so why not? Hitmonchan, Pinsir, Vaporeon, Flareon. These guys are level 5 because I bred them in Crystal and I sent them over to evolve because I was not trying to play through the game 3 goddamn times to get different EVs. So that's the story behind that. But box 3 here, we got Magikarp, Tauros, which, yes, I caught a Tauros in the Safari Zone, pain in my ass, took me like 5 trips into the Safari Zone. Fuck Tauros. But I did catch it after a bunch of attempts. Marowak, Paris, Parasect, Executor, another Marowak, Scyther, which was also hard to catch, but it didn't take me as long. Kangaskhan also didn't take me as long. We got Cubone, Vileplume, Hitmonlee, Tentacruel, Seaking, Slowbro, Kablooey. This, it doesn't show in this game, because this is a Gen 1 game, but this is actually a shiny Weezing from Generation 2. It just doesn't show, obviously, in this game, but it is shiny. We do also have Porygon here. I breeded this one. Breeded. What the fuck am I talking about? Bred this one as well because 9999 coins is not something that I was going to grind out. I do actually like playing the slot machines in the game corner in Generation 1 and the remakes, but that was just going to be a huge waste of time for something that I could easily acquire in Gen 2. Box 4, we got Rhydon, Rhyhorn, Gloom, Victory Bell, Sandslash, Zubat, Golem. A lot of these mons are high level. They were caught later in the game, of course. Ditto, did catch this one as well. It took me a while because I was used to finding Ditto on like every floor, but you can only find them in one specific area in yellow. So, you know, took me a second, but we got there. I nicknamed Muck because I wanted to use Muck as well, but I ended up not. Like I said, just a lot of cool Gen 1 mons that I always use. There's really not a lot more standouts here aside from, I guess, the fossil mons. We got Kabutops, which was a pain to train because, you know, fossil mons are always kind of hard to train. Jinx, I also spent a lot of time looking for because it's like a 5% encounter on one floor of Ice Path in Crystal. So, you know, that was fun. Got Mewtwo. Golduck is kind of a pain in the ass to catch in yellow. It's very rare, and otherwise you're just going to be training up a Psyduck, which you can't really get at a high level, I don't think. So then we come down to box 12, which is the team that I use in this playthrough, aside from Gulliver and aside from Big Cheese. So here we'll start off with Uchi the Clefable, looking very cute in the 3D model. But yeah, I wanted to use a Clefable, didn't really use it that much before, and I wanted to just use a lot of mons that I thought had good sprites in Pokemon Yellow, because Pokemon Yellow has a lot of very good sprites with a lot of character in them, and Clefable is one of them. So Thunder Wave, Seismic Toss, Psychic, and Body Slam was a pretty helpful mon. Not the best mon, but was pretty good in the long run. So I can't really say anything bad about Clefable. Then we have a mon that I use all the goddamn time. We got Nitro the Nidoking. I probably have like 10 Nidokings named Nitro. One of my favorite mons ever. I just always use them, especially in Gen 1, because it's a powerhouse, Earthquake, Rock Slide, Strength, and Horn Drill. Just for fun. Just for fun, I ran Horn Drill. Landed a couple of them, but that's how it goes. You don't get a lot of them. But then we got Tank the Blastoise coming in. I wanted to use Blastoise. Don't really use Blastoise that often. Probably my least used Gen 1 starter. But we do have them with Dig, Mega Punch, Surf, and Ice Beam. Very powerful, very good. And then Pent the Kadabra I dropped off at some point because I needed Farfetch'd for the HMs. And I had Uchi putting in the work for a special attacker, so I didn't really need Kadabra anymore. But Psybeam, Confusion, Teleport, Recover, you know, it was useful while I was using it. But those are my boxes. Those are all of my Pokemon. The ones that you didn't see, I either evolved or, you know, I traded through Crystal and whatnot. But we do have, you know, pretty much all of them in the cartridge still, which is cool. But that wasn't my main thing. The main thing that I wanted to do was get the Diploma. So if you complete the Pokedex in Generation 1, you get a Diploma that you can print out using the Game Boy printer, which is something that was used with the Game Boy back in the day, where you use thermal paper. You can print out little sheets of paper with things from various Game Boy games, various accomplishments, certificates, diplomas, or whatnot. And I always kind of wanted the Gen 1 Diploma. I want the Gen 2 one as well, but that's probably going to be done a lot later on because I already completed the remakes and I don't feel like 100%ing Johto again at the moment. So I wanted to get the Gen 1 Diploma. Unfortunately, I do not have the Game Boy printer myself. I do not have the old thermal paper myself. I do not have the cable myself. But I did find someone to print one off using my name. In time, I will put a picture on screen. I do love having it. It's also on higher quality thermal paper to hopefully not fade as quickly. But that's really what I wanted out of this, is the Diploma, and I am very happy to have it. It's not big at all. It's a very small sheet of thermal paper. It's smaller than a standard Pokemon card. Like, it's smaller than a trading card. It fits in a top loader and a sleeve pretty well, and that's just how I'm gonna keep it, but I do love having it. And if you catch Mew, you actually get a different one with Mew on the certificate. And I do have that one, so I think that's really cool. Probably gonna tape it to my wall and have it be in my little nerd wall that I have hanging up. So that was fun. The rest of this video is probably going to be me just talking, so I'll just throw some sprites on screen that I think are cute from Pokemon Yellow and leave it at that. But if you want to hear me rant, I'm just going to be talking about some stuff here. We talked about the Diploma, we talked about Pokedex completion, we talked about Yellow being my first game back in the day. We talked about my team. Did we talk about level jumps? Pokemon Yellow has some weird level jumps once you get to like the 5th and 6th gym. Like, there's like a 10 level difference between Erica and Sabrina and Koga. And then it kind of levels out, or at the very least you're able to deal with it better. But Jesus Christ, Sabrina has like a level 50 something Alakazam, and it's kind of crazy at that point in the game. But it does make you explore more and fight more trainers, which in the long run, rewards you for playing the game more. So I can't be too bad about that. I just think it's really surprising because I forget about it, because I don't go back to Gen 1 that often. I mostly stay in my Gen 2 in the remakes bubble, but I do come back every so often because Yellow has a soft spot in my heart. And yeah, it's just always surprising, but it is fun going back to it. The one thing that you could say, is required for 100% completion is doing the Pikachu surf minigame, where, you just surf as Pikachu on the Game Boy, try to get a high score or whatever. I did that when I was younger a lot. Didn't really have the drive to do it again. I didn't really consider that for 100%. I don't think it really matters personally. I couldn't find a clear answer online if it does matter for 100% completion to people. Pretty sure it's just if you want to do it, do it. If you don't, don't. So I didn't, but rest assured I did it a lot when I was younger, so I have experienced it. But that's basically all I have to say. This is a smaller video than the Soul Silver one, like I said. I just kind of wanted to show my Pokemon, talk about the completion, talk about the certificate. That's the main thing. I really just wanted to get this certificate, and I thought this would be a fun challenge to do. I completed Yellow in, I want to say, 15 days. I think it took me 15 days of just playing every morning to really get there. The hardest parts were, of course, playing through Silver for half a day. Well, that wasn't hard, it was just time consuming. And then just switch training some mons. Oh, funny story, I guess. I couldn't find a Venomoth. I searched for one on the route next to Fuchsia for like an hour, and I couldn't find one, so I just said fuck it and trained up a Venonat into Venomoth. And then, wouldn't you know it, my first encounter when I went back to that route was a Venomoth. So, fuck me, I guess. But, that's it. I just wanted to talk about the Diploma, wanted to show it off, wanted to just show off some sprites that I like, talk about Yellow. So that's pretty much it. Just a fun little video, fun challenge I wanted to do before May was up. I waited about a week for the Diploma to come in, that's why it took a while to actually record the video. But I am happy that I have it and that it came out the way that it did. So that'll be that. Thank you all for watching. If there's any more challenges or Pokemon games that you want to see me complete and talk about, leave a comment. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. And yeah, I don't know how to end videos, so